3,
2,
1.
1. Monkey bars. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sick and Butter podcast. My name is Alex,
I'm Jesse.
aka Sick,
Hey, I'm Butter.
and this is episode 74?
Yeah,
74
I
of the
checked this
most
time.
highly produced podcast in the world.
You can tell by our production
You
design.
can tell by our production are immaculate. This video feed that we got going on.
Yeah,
If you're listening to this on the audio portion, it sounds butter. It sounds
yeah.
crispy. It sounds
Hey, I just had a thought. I just had a thought. How do we get our video on Spotify like Joe Rogan? Do you have to be somebody to do that?
I don't know. I don't know, dude. But Rogan's gonna come up again in this conversation. I got to
Yeah.
talk to you about something. So yeah, this is episode 74. If you're watching this on the video feed, yeah, you can't see
Sorry.
Jesse right now. The internet's kind of fucked right now, but the audio works.
Yeah.
We're just going like this for now.
There's a snowstorm in Boulder.
One day, we're going to be in the same building. We're going to have a background. We're going to have studio lights. We're going to have all that. It's going to be highly produced.
And we can kiss whenever we want.
We can
all
rub
the
each
time.
other's feet.
Hey, that toe's looking a little gnarly. Hand it over.
Such a different dynamic.
Yeah.
I don't even see your face. I can't even see your face.
Well, you can see a. This is possibly the best representation of my face really that I have cataloged. So really, you get to act to the pinnacle of like my essence, but not me.
Every time I look at it, I can't stop laughing. But yeah, this is episode 74, which was after 73.
Yeah, we're sequential as fuck.
73. I've gotten some couple messages about episode 73 that people have listened to it, and during that podcast we talked about our OnlyFans account and how we might possibly become we might start sending solicited photos to fans.
Yeah.
If that's something you're interested in, send an email. We're very much open to it.
Yeah, thick and butter at lookatmybutt.com.
Look at my butt. Thick or butter. Thick or butter's butt.
Dude, our website.
That's the whole website. You have to guess whose butt it is.
I was thinking, I like that better.
Yeah.
I was thinking that the website could be like it's just two big buttons. It says thick or butter, and it will take us to like our what is it? Our illicit photos.
Right. Yeah.
The thick photos or the butter photos.
Right.
So what are these? What is these friends mentioning?
Oh, they just thought that
they wanted to buy some.
One of the funniest things that they'd heard on the podcast so far.
God bless you guys. Thank you.
And I got a couple. One of my friends told me that that my business plan of marking $500 for a dick photo was not. That's not how that wasn't a good idea.
I
And
fucking told you so.
yeah.
Wasting my time.
I've had a lot of time to think about it.
Okay.
And I kind of agree. I think
Yeah.
I wouldn't make a lot of money. But
No.
there's also the argument that if the I might make more money than you if just one dick photo could make
Yeah.
me $500.
Yeah.
You gotta work. You gotta take God knows how many to get the $500.
But my favorite thing about your reasoning for being $500 is that you said your penis is totally ordinary. So you're going to ramp it up to be like $500. Hey, that's like saying I have this store of just forks, but they're super expensive, but they're just
Right.
plastic forks and
Right.
plates. But they cost $1,000 a piece. But they're
Right.
just plastic. They're
But
totally
but
ordinary.
here's the difference though.
Okay.
So say they're ordinary, but say that the forks are Louis Vuitton or Gucci forks. Okay, they say Gucci on it, but they're just regular plastic forks. It's not
Yeah.
about the quality. It's about the name. It's about who is attached to it. It's
Okay.
the
Okay.
branding. I
Dude.
am a Preacher Collins porn star. That's a high class
Okay,
penis.
here's the reason. I just thought of the perfect analogy to what your Treat Your Collins OnlyFans is. It's like when Pokemon cards get misprinted and they skyrocket. That's what your Treat Your Collins thing
Yeah,
is. You're like a misprint.
Exactly. So that's my stance on it.
Yeah.
And so that episode we also talked about It Follows, which is a cool horror movie. It's spooky month. We're talking about
Spooky.
another horror movie today that I'm very, very excited about. But before that, I have a lot of things that I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, it's been kind of a weird week.
So weird. So, first thing I want to mention is that there were 2 albums that came out that I love and I think everybody should listen to.
Yeah.
One, it's the Gorillaz album.
Woo!
Fantastic.
I've listened to that a lot. I like that album a lot.
Season 1, wait, what's it called? Song Machine.
Song
Season
Machines.
1, Strange Times. That's a fucking title.
Yeah. Is there a colon between each of those phrases?
I'm pretty sure.
I'll check it. Keep
I
going.
hope there's a season 2.
Yeah, me too.
What's your favorite track on that?
Dude, all the tracks are love Désolé.
Yeah.
Aries, the single was really good.
Aries, yeah.
Momentary
Aries
Bliss.
is awesome because we and my buddy were joking about who loves the album too. We were joking. He's like, I love Aries, but like I'm a big New Order fan. And that song is literally just a New Order song. Everything
Gotcha.
from Peter Hook is on the song, who's the bassist in New Order. So they're literally making a New Order song.
Gotcha.
It's really funny, how close. If you told me that was a New Order song, I might have believed you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Aries, but I think my favorite song is it's a bonus track. The one with JPEG on it, JPEG Mafia.
Yeah. MLS.
Dude, that shit blew my mind. I was like, dude, it was so awesome to hear JPEG Mafia on this very mainstream and fun vibe. It was really cool. He's super that song.
He's a very flexible rapper. He fits in a lot of cases.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that song kind of proved to me where JPEG Mafia is one of the most yeah, he's an experimental rapper, but he's so versatile and so charismatic. He steals that whole song. I could say that to anybody and they would probably love it. And but if you and then you show him fucking here's his other music thug tears, and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh my god, so yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, that I love that track. I thought that song was fucking great.
Yeah.
That song, the one with Elton John and
Yeah, the Pink
the
Phantom.
Black, like that had no right being that good. Just
Yeah.
zero. Like I mean, like like Black is just like R&B singer from um Atlanta, and auto-tune crooner, and then you have Elton John. Like if you like those two on a song, like that would like never work, and
Yeah.
somehow it does. It's really
Is
good,
El is
man.
is Elton John's? I really haven't listened to much Elton John. Is Elton
Uh,
John's music kind of similar to David Bowie? Does it kind of have a like
yeah. Well, that's a that's a loaded question because
the
David Bowie
reason the
went
reason
through so many different phases of his career,
right.
but
The reason I
glam
asked
rock,
this, yeah, the reason
yeah,
I asked this is that the Pink Phantom kind of reminded me of like the just David Bowie
yeah, yeah,
from
yeah,
what
yeah,
I've heard
yeah.
of him.
Like glam rock, so like yeah, Elton John is glam rock.
Mostly, I
So
guess it's just the glam rock
yeah,
similarities
and
that I'm
David
picking up
Bowie,
on.
like that's how he started. Was like a
Yeah.
glam rock music. Like Rise and Fall and Two Stardust is glam rock. So
Mhm.
like yeah, for sure. Like Elton John and early David Bowie, yeah, are definitely
Also, I think what it
comparable.
is that Elton John's old now, and I've been listening to a lot of Black
Yeah,
Star. So, like glam rock,
right.
these huge glam rock figures with the 80 voice.
Yeah,
That's where my brain went.
yeah. Also, both extremely eccentric figures.
Yeah, right.
Um, I love Elton John. I think Elton John, he's super fun. I loved Rocket Man. I know I'm tooting that movie's horn on this
Hmm.
podcast, but if you haven't seen that Rocket Man, it's one of the best music biopics I've ever seen.
I
Straight up,
haven't seen Rocket Man.
it's fantastic. Um, so that and then Clipping came out with a new album that's
Yeah.
so good. It's
Oh,
so good.
yeah.
It's so
I'm
fucking
so
good.
happy that they released another album in this horror core genre
Yeah,
because I really wanted
it
to
it
like their
fits
existence
them
and
so
addictions of
well,
blood.
man.
Yeah.
It
And
fits their style so well.
Visions of Bodies Being Burned is just such a cool album.
Yeah, it's
I
so
think
good.
all the songs work.
All of them. Literally, like, also, like, yeah, everything about it. Like, the song that I literally keep returning to in Lansing is, or in Lacing is, I mean, when I heard that for the first time, I thought, like, it has this crazy sample in it that
Mhm.
is so, like, like when I heard that, I was literally like picturing like being at like some nightclub
Mhm.
where like it like high, like just so out of your
Yeah.
mind, and seeing like really like I don't know, man. They're that song. There are like specific songs sometimes where you listen to them and it sets the scene and sets like this mood so well that you basically like get transported to like this other like place. And like that
Yeah, dog.
song does it for me. Like that song is one of honestly one of my favorite clipping songs. Like
I,
that
I
song
think
blew me away.
I think that perfectly describes why this album works so much better to me than their previous horrorcore
Uh
album because I
I
really
liked it more than
wanted
you
to
did,
get
but
it more. I don't think that album's bad, but
yeah,
it didn't transport me. And this
sure.
album really did transport me. And I felt
There's
much more
definitely
sucked
more.
into
There's
that.
also on this album. There's definitely more like bops. You know, there's like if you
Yeah,
have
that's
to say
true.
my name, you say the name. You have 96 Ned Campbell, Pain Every Day,
Check
uh,
the Lock, which was a
Check the
sweet
Lock.
song. I
Oh
love
my
Check the
god,
Lock.
dude! But it's also like you know, obviously Clipping's like instrumentals are extremely
Yeah.
experimental, unique, and really odd. And but like the dude did like even on more so on this album, like his storytelling is ridiculous. Like
Yeah,
it's
he's good at it.
insane. Like he paints these crazy like scenes and like
I like,
horrific
yeah,
stories.
I like
So
how he blends thing where he does a really good blending sort of, uh, um, I don't know the exact phrasing, but sort of like that gangster rapper blending with like
yeah, right,
cheesy horror movies
right,
and
yeah, yeah,
funny and like hard all at the same time.
yeah.
And and and
That's something
and
that's like gone over Clipping's music throughout their whole
yeah,
their whole careers. Like, yeah, who did you break up? Can you hear me?
my internet, I just got a notification saying your internet is unsat. Than
Oh,
a
really?
lot. Why do you think I have this picture up instead of my face? We found that out, dude.
Holy
But
shit!
I heard you loud and clear. I'm just laughing at my incompetent
Yeah.
technology. It was
Um.
so slow. It took me 30 minutes for it to tell me, "Hey, something's
I
wrong."
know. Yeah. Jesus, man. But yeah, go check those albums out. But I
Listening
know,
to those on repeat all
and I
this
know
whole
that
week.
I know you'll never watch this. I know you'll never ever watch it. But uh, Borat, subsequent
Yeah.
movie film, uh, subsequent movie film came out, and for me, as someone who's a massive Sacha Baron Cohen fan, a massive fan of Borat and Bruno, it was everything that I wanted, and a little more, to be honest. Um, but have you heard anything about that movie at all?
Yeah, I've heard some things, the political thing where
Mm-hmm.
he gypped the,
Giuliani.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that guy or whatever,
yeah, yeah. Did you
and that
hear?
got,
Yeah, that got a lot of press, man. A lot of press.
yeah.
All I'm gonna
Yeah.
say about that is that I'm not gonna like spoil what happens, um, because that's part of the fun of watching what he does to him. But
Yeah.
um, it's interesting. You know, I loved the movie. I basically I loved it. I thought Sacha Baron Cohen like he's just he's a psycho. He's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
he's risking his life for comedy. I mean, there is a sequence in Borat 2 where he moves in with two extreme right wing Trump supporters during he filmed this during the pandemic, and he lived with them for 5 days undercover. Like
Oh.
he was in character as Borat for 5 days
Wow.
with these two guys, and like he convinced them that he was this foreign guy. I mean, he convinced them that he was this foreign guy that was making this documentary about coronavirus, and somehow they didn't know who Borat was. I mean, I guess, but they did. I mean, it was in the middle of like it was like middle bumfuck nowhere, Texas, um,
Yeah.
uh, but the guy is insane, and the reason like there's a lot of talk going on right now, like this movie's better than the first one, and I wouldn't think that it's better than the first one just because like I think Sacha Baron Cohen has recently been very political, very like outspoken about his political views, and he had
Uh-huh.
that show called Who's America that I thought was brilliant a couple years ago,
Yeah.
um,
Haven't heard of that.
and this film, Borat, was definitely made with a purpose. It was definitely
Mhm.
made as a purpose to expose a lot of these things about, Trump and his and people who vote for Trump. And the genius of him is that, it's not like a takedown of these people. It's just kind of shedding light on certain
Yeah.
things that are going on in the country. And
I think what he does is super duper interesting because of how it's like controversial like humor, but it's doing it by exposing people who are actually racist and
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
And it's like it's sort of along the lines of being this blending of documentary and humor to me.
Yes.
Um
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah,
I
man.
I
He's
would
the
love
king at it, man.
yeah.
It is, there is, I can't even repeat, but there is a scene in Borat, subsequent movie film, that uh is maybe top five on hardest I've ever laughed in a movie.
Yeah.
And for some people, for some people, that it probably is going to be too much.
Yeah.
But for me, I can't even repeat to you what the scene is because you'll be like, like you just have. It is. I mean, it's not the Rudy Giuliani thing. What I was going to go into was that's the one thing about the movie that I don't love, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
the most controversial thing coming out of the movie is like he basically pulled this prank on Rudy Giuliani to it's out there, so I'm just gonna talk about it, I guess. But he basically duped him into kind of going into a hotel room with a younger woman
Yeah.
who's his daughter in the film. Um and it seems that Rudy Giuliani's got to pull his pants down and kind of like, sexually assault this
Masturbate.
girl.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, I don't think that's what was going on. Honestly, the more that I look at it, the more like I read up on kind of like I don't know. It's a little manipulative,
Yeah.
um, but nevertheless, like I think like Sacha Baron Cohen has come out and said I think he's had the right response to it and saying just watch it, and make up your own opinion. Um,
Yeah.
Instead of being like, no, this is what he did. It's like,
Yeah.
you can kind of, I mean, like, at the end of the day, though, I still think Rudy Giuliani's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But, like, it doesn't
Yeah, that's kind of an
change my
interesting
opinion.
situation to be
But,
in for
yeah,
Sasha because Sasha
Sasha, yeah.
yeah, but like because in a documentary it's more controversial to manipulate like information to go towards what you're trying to say, but
Hmm.
he has the liberty of still being a creative film, so he
Yeah,
can cut it to make this guy look like he's
exactly.
like doing it, and it's just like he has the
Exactly.
permission to do that even if that's not what was happening,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's his movie, it's a
Yeah,
creative product.
yeah, exactly.
um
Yeah. And he's been, this is not Sasha's been in a lot of controversies.
yeah,
Almost every time he puts a movie out.
well, that's his career,
Yeah, it's his
that's his
career. Yeah,
advertising.
yeah, it's his MO.
Yeah.
But on top of that, for me, it's not. It is gut wrenchingly hilarious. I mean, like I was in pain. Like there are a couple scenes where I was like in pain of what he gets people to do. I mean, what he gets people to say,
Yeah.
do, go along with. It's absurd. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that because that was like a
Yeah.
big,
I
big
have
story.
I have mad respect for his work, but it's just something that I just do not enjoy
Yeah,
watching
dude,
in
that
the
totally
like
understand.
yeah.
Totally understand.
But go watch
Um,
it.
yeah. Yeah, dude. Speaking of that, though, it's on Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
and
I liked his
it,
advertising for it because he
oh,
had
it's
like three
hilarious.
things. It looked cool.
Yeah, yeah. His promotion for it has been so funny. And but dude, I'm pretty sure like Amazon bought that for a lot of money. Um,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
like a lot of money. It was like $200 million.
Wow. Yeah, that was pretty successful then.
Which is funny to think about because that movie cost, I don't know,
Nothing.
maybe 2 million. He's paying the crew and like
Yeah.
their travels and shit.
I mean, he can't probably even have that much crew. You
No,
know,
no,
with
no,
what
no.
he's
He only works
doing.
with 4 people, 4 or 5
That's
people.
crazy. That's
But the
crazy.
standout of the movie is
4 people splitting $2 million.
yeah, well, it's over the course of the whole filming. Because
Yeah.
it's interesting because I was like years ago because I love Borat, the first one, and like I was kind of bummed. I would always talk about my friends. I'd be like, "Oh, it's a bummer that he's never going to be able to do that movie because, like another one, because he's just too famous. Like no one's gonna
Ah,
know
right.
who he is." And the genius part about the second film is that that's the premise of the movie, is that when he goes back to America, everybody knows who Borat is. So what he
Yeah.
has to do is he has to disguise himself as other characters as Borat. So there are scenes where he is he is playing a country singer as Borat, playing a country singer.
Yeah.
Like and this is all real life. So like
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
Sacha Baron Cohen is ridiculous. He's the greatest improv actor, hands down, without a doubt. I mean, the fact
Yeah.
that he could live with these 2 people for 5 days and they just think he's Borat. They don't know, like, so
Yeah.
insane, like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. It's really impressive. I can't even imagine
Yeah,
going through trying to do something like that.
I love
I
that
mean,
hair. Yeah, dude.
somewhat it should be so unpleasant.
No. Well, also, it's incredibly dangerous. I mean, there are,
Yeah.
especially for what he's doing. I mean, there's a scene in Borat 2 where um he goes to a gun rally, a Trump
Yeah.
gun rally, and this is during the
Wow.
coronavirus. This is during
Wow.
the Rona, and what he does is, oh my God, he goes on stage as this country Steve, this country, he's Borat, but
Yeah.
he's dressed as this country singer, and he goes up and he starts singing a song about the Wuhan flu and
Yeah.
the Wu, and he gets the whole crowd to start chanting the song and
Whoa.
sing along, yeah, and but it gets and he on his Twitter the other day he released like the what happened after that scene. Dude. So apparently, it's not in the movie, but because it was he had to basically escape. So what
Wow.
happened was, there were, um, I feel like there were these really there were around that area. There were Black Lives Matter protests going on, and and there were these violent people that were kind of trying to stop like people
Yeah.
like that, and they caught wind that it was Sacha Baron Cohen, so they caught him,
Uh-huh.
and basically, dude, like these group of people started to rush him, and
Oh shit.
so in the audience, there were actually undercover guards working
Sh-
for Sasha to make sure that no one's gonna pull out a gun or anything. And
Yeah.
apparently, one guy put his hand on his pistol,
Whoa.
and the undercover guy like went up to him and was like, "Hey, you don't want to do that. Like, if you do that, that's just gonna be, you know, that's just you don't want to do that. It's
Yeah.
not worth it." Sasha was wearing a bulletproof vest that whole scene.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
but the clip is crazy. Like, he's running into the trailer, and it's like behind the scenes footage of him like in the trailer, like being like, are they gone or whatever? And people are trying to break into his trailer,
Shit.
and he's dude, yeah, it's it's crazy.
Shit.
I mean, he's a psycho. I mean, like
Yeah.
what he does for his art is just it's unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I mean, I remember in Bruno, um, which is the movie he did after Borat, where he plays a gay Austrian fashion guy.
Yeah.
And in that movie,
I
dude,
haven't heard of
I can't
that.
believe he got out of this, but legal trouble. But at
Yeah.
the end of the film, he goes to like I feel like it's like Arkansas or something, like a southern state like that.
Yeah.
And goes to a cage match, like an underground like cage match,
Yeah.
and he gets in there and he starts making out with his boyfriend in the movie, and they borderline have sex in front of these like, you know, they don't like gay people where he is,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he incites a riot. I mean, a
Wow.
riot. Literally, that's how that movie ends. Him escaping this
A
riot.
riot.
Um, I don't know how he got out of that because that's illegal. You can't do that.
You can't say
But
it. What?
you can't
What?
incite a riot.
Oh.
But um, yeah, apparently his lawyer is pretty badass apparently. But
Wow.
anyway, but yeah. So and then the other thing that came out this week that
Yeah.
I haven't even texted you about.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if you wanted to watch it or had any interest in watching it, but Kanye West.
Yeah, dude.
Kanye, what's his middle name?
I didn't know he had a middle name. Let me wiki it.
You might not. I don't know.
Kanye.
Let's guess. Okay,
What? Okay. I
my
don't.
guess is gonna be Kanye. I mean, his name's Kanye. That's
Oh
pretty
man,
like.
I looked at it. I looked at it. I can't guess.
What is
You
it?
guess. Well,
Wait,
you have to guess.
I'm gonna guess. It's gonna be Jeffrey.
It's actually a really sick name. You want
Yeah,
another guess?
yeah.
You have one more guess.
Oh, one more guess.
Yeah.
Um, Jeffrey Kanye. I mean, is it like a weird name?
It's like
Is it a common name or not at all?
no, it's not common.
uh, Donda.
Gonda?
Gandhi.
Gandhi, Kanye Gandhi West.
Yeah.
Dude. It's Omari, which is
Oh yeah, okay,
really
that's cool.
pretty name.
Yeah,
Kanye Omari West.
yeah. Um, so
According
he,
to Wikipedia.
so if you guys don't know who Kanye is,
Have
um,
you
he's a
this
fashion
similar?
designer. He's a presidential nominee. He was on the Rogan podcast. Highly anticipated. Um, him to be on that podcast. Did you
he
watch
was
it?
he was a secret. Yeah, I haven't listened to
To
all
the
of
whole
it.
thing?
I've
I did
listened. I
when I
want
was
to.
working.
It just got to it's interesting
Yeah, what did you
because
think of it? How long should we listen to it? Like an hour of it?
I I think it's fascinating. I love
Yeah,
listening to it.
yeah.
I listened to 45 minutes to an hour of it. I wish I
Oh,
remember the spot. Oh, I can actually pull it up. Um um the thing that I thought was super duper interesting about it was how he sounds like a totally normal person,
yeah,
and he's is honestly really brilliant and super creative.
yes,
Um, and but then he like the way he talks is not like the bipolar crazy that you expect.
yeah,
But then whenever he weaves in like beautiful, wonderful things, and then just like everything's a conspiracy theory.
right.
What?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like I'm scared of going to hospital because I
right.
don't know what they're doing in there. What? So there was like
Yeah,
crazy moments like that where you're going, oh,
yeah,
this guy's insane, and
yeah,
then he is insane.
yeah.
But I liked it a lot.
You know, I found it to be incredibly fascinating. And I'm kind of disappointed in like kind of the response that the podcast has had a little bit.
What's the response? Negative?
I don't know. I think people are kind of just like I don't know because here's the interesting thing that I got out of it was you know we're Kanye fans
Yeah,
um and I've been kind of somebody who has kind of always seen him even like when he's done his wild antics and said wild things. I've kind of had this thing in the back of my mind like the media might be kind of portraying this in a way that's not really what he's like or what he's really trying to say, for
yeah,
example. Um, and I'm glad that he did that podcast because you really get to see him in like his like unfiltered, like no editing, no nothing
That's a really profound thing about it, right? It makes him
conversation.
a mortal human being. He's not the
Yeah,
god or the celebrity Kanye. He's just
right,
Kanye, the dude. And
right. Yeah.
it's I think it's really nice.
And also what's interesting about him is like you know, the whole presidential thing, why he's running for president and like all that stuff. I understand for a normal person that that would sound insane, you know? Um, for me, I really don't see any difference between Kanye running and like Trump running. Like
Yeah.
I really see no difference um at all. And I think like what they talked about, um, like some of his ideas were really interesting. But you're totally right. Like there are times where he like says things you're like, what? Like
Yeah.
this dude is insane. But his brain just works on this different level
Yeah.
than normal people. I mean, the way that he talks. I mean, like,
Joe Rogan said it. This is
yeah,
he called him saying that Kanye had these symphonies of ideas, which is such a
yeah,
beautiful way to
yeah,
describe like Kanye's that's totally just what it is. He
yeah,
just has like this it wasn't just one, it was this weird symphony going on.
yeah,
I think
yeah, yeah,
like it's hard because you could also tell throughout this it's just like, man, Kanye is seems like a really cool dude, but he does have a really big ego
very.
of his problems.
But but here's the thing too. Is like, yeah, he has a very big ego, but he's always had that ego, always.
Right, right.
Even when I remember when he won the Grammy for College Dropout, which is like
Yeah,
15 years ago, where he lost. He won or lost or something. And
yeah,
he goes on stage and he goes, something like, I think he won and he said something like, yeah, I was expecting this.
yeah,
You know, like,
yeah,
he's
right.
always been like this.
Yeah,
It's not really a shock to me.
right. And I'm
That,
not. I don't think it's a shocking thing, but it
yeah,
makes sense because it's like the problem. The thing that I think Kanye struggles with as a human being, from my like listening to of the Joe Rogan podcast, is that he has these incredible talents, but he doesn't really see the work on things he's not good at. So don't ever
sure.
challenge his ego to like bring it, which because he positive feedback from always being like that. But
Yeah,
it's like I think that he would really benefit if he challenged himself a little bit to look at those things that he wasn't so good at, like listening to other people or things like that. But
interesting. Yeah,
he's just really
yeah,
never had to do that because
yeah,
he's uber successful. He hasn't really had
right.
motivation to do that. He's always been
I
right.
mean, I think he definitely did at one point. I mean, we don't get that famous or that successful, and like I mean, when he was producing for Jay-Z and like all the shit when
Yeah,
his career started, he definitely had that, you know. But I
yeah,
think he's so far gone at this point that you're right. He doesn't really have to think about that anymore, you know.
yeah.
He's
I'm also not
sorry.
saying that he's like this insensitive asshole. From what I
Yeah,
got from that was that like this is a dude who cares about his people a lot. And he just has his
right.
own demons that he deals
And,
with on a daily basis.
and you know, another thing that I kind of had this thought when I was listening to it, it's like, listen, I'm not gonna vote for Kanye, okay? I'm not gonna vote for Kanye for president. But I will say this though. I think someone like that being maybe not like him, but the idea of I'm not part of these, Republican fucking part. I'm not part of these corrupt as fuck parties.
Yeah.
I have like someone with independent views and has these visionary ideas um that is trying to push like the future of our world. You know, that's what
Yeah.
like his there's one part of the podcast where Kanye talks about like his ideas for farming and trying to
Yeah, I love
and
that. I thought
it's
that was
crazy.
wonderful.
He has wonderful that's a wonderful idea and he's trying to do it. You know, like
Yeah.
this is somebody who he's not like a billionaire who's like just sitting back on his billions. He's really trying to do things, you
Things.
know?
Yeah.
And I just think that our country needs something like that, especially now, because
Yeah.
we're at a point in our election right now that's about to happen next week. November 3rd is going to be one of the
So
most
crazy.
tense days in American
Yeah.
history.
Yeah,
Um,
dude.
but it's these, it's obviously we have Trump who is so right, you know, and so not right. I mean,
I know what you
conservative.
mean. I know what you mean.
And we have Biden, who's so, they're just, it's so extreme right now. And like, even just all my deliveries, like, you're seeing, like, I mean, it's gotten to the point now where if you are voting for Trump, I mean, like, I'm not saying everybody who votes for Trump is a bad person. Obviously not. But like, it's gotten to the point where, like, if you are saying that you're voting for Trump or have a Trump sign in your yard, I mean, it's people are going to.
Yeah, it's so
It's
much. It's so
so
much more visceral now. Do you not
so
see that
dude.
reaction?
Never in my lifetime, the two or three elections that I've seen, never this intense. I mean, it's
Yeah,
to the point where if you say who you're voting for, I mean, it
it's
tells your whole
very.
personality. You
Yeah,
know, I mean,
yeah.
it's really toxic time. But somebody
Uh,
like Kanye, who's like, hey, I'm religious. I have views. I'm very. I'm. He has conservative views, and he also has liberal views. Um, Someone in the middle. That's how I kind of
well, yeah. I think.
like.
I think the.
That's something interesting.
I think what you're talking about is totally right, and I agree. Again, from my armchair politics position, that's my newest
Yeah.
phrase I
Yeah.
like armchair,
Yeah.
like profession.
Right.
As an armchair politician,
Yeah.
I would I like the idea of having this thing that Kanye's talking about, where
Yeah.
it's a visionary who basically unifies all this bullshit that is just stewing around right
So
now.
much
I
bullshit.
love I love that idea he's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not. He says that he's the guy. I'm not
No, I'm
convinced.
not
He
saying he's
said,
the guy either.
well,
But
but
I'm saying love the
the thing
idea.
is, I love the idea too, and I'm actually quite excited for 2024, and I hope he keeps running because I want him to develop this idea if he can,
Yeah.
because he's obviously a guy who can do his goals, and it'd be awesome if he could do it. It could transform into a good presidential candidate. I'm not
Totally.
saying that he couldn't do that. Right
Yeah.
now, his pitch was terrible. His pitch
Sure.
for
Yeah.
being president
Yeah.
was God told me so, so I'm going to do it.
Right.
Dude, that's such a
Yeah.
fucking bad
Right.
presidential
Right.
pitch. I don't want you anywhere near that job.
Yeah.
But dude, if
Right.
like he then fall, it's crazy because in my opinion, when he was talking about like the presidency while he was running, he's just like, I love your motivation for this, but you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, like
Yeah.
at all.
Right.
And then he started talking about music, and it's like, dude, if
Yeah.
you can take what you just said and about music and like the record industry and you
Yeah.
apply it to politics, you got something.
Well, I
Like
think
I
that
genuinely believe
later in the
that.
podcast, he kind of says that where
Yeah,
one of the things about like I can't believe we're actually talking about this.
yeah.
Like, but
Kanye
one of the things,
2024.
one of the only yeah, sure. Dude. I was joking with I was completely serious with one of my friends. I said, "Listen, man, I think he's
I
gonna
think
go
he's gonna
far.
be on the.
I
I
think
think
he's
he's gonna
gonna
be
go
up
farther
there.
than you think he is, because if he really wanted to do it, Kanye's not dumb. He knows how
Yeah,
to sell things. He knows how to market himself. He knows how to brand
yeah,
himself. He's been doing it for fucking years. Um,
yeah,
and what's interesting is, like I said, he has views that could appeal to almost everybody.
yeah,
Almost the right and the left. So, but one of the things that he was talking about was throughout his career, he's this amazing producer. He's able to bring one of the things that makes Kanye so great as
yeah,
a musician is the how he chooses talent and how he chooses people to be part of his team and part of the album experience. When you listen to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, it's not all Kanye. It's not all Kanye.
Right.
The whole thing. It's all these different people that he's brought in to help create the masterpiece that album is, and that's what he is. He is someone who's that kind of, and that mentality is someone in a president that's kind of appealing. I'm not saying like he should be the guy, but the idea of like, I know how to get the right people for the job, that can work with me and work well together. I mean, he's been doing it for 20 years.
I hope how I hope it goes down is that in 2024 he practices a shit ton, like practices talking, being an orator. And he goes up there, he runs in 2024. He does not win. He loses to someone, right? Hopefully not fucking Trump or some Trumpite or something. And he loses. But then after 4 years, there's this brilliant black woman scientist who's like, I got this. If Kanye can do this, I got this. And she fixes everything. That's what I want to have. That's what I want. 8 years down the line, my kids, Miss President, she fixed everything. Everything before that didn't exist. We don't have to talk about that. Let's just talk about Miss President.
Imagine if we had kids who were like, President Kanye. You're like, listen,
President West.
Listen, son. Kanye once had a song where he talked about eating Asian pussy with sweet and sour sauce. That's your president. He also talked about getting bleach on his asshole. He also said if he gets bleach on his asshole and the bleach gets on her shirt or my shirt, does that make me an asshole? That's something that he said.
Oh man, dude, he's
been knowledge for years.
Man, if he is competitive in 2024, it is just going to be a game changer. That's so bananas.
And that's exciting to me. A new person, a different person that's not an old white guy that's part of these corrupt institutions. You know what I mean?
It's hard to think 4 years ahead, though. Let's get through past November 3rd, and then let's get to the end of 2020. Which 2020, dude, 2020. Do you realize that we were in school this year?
No.
We had summer vacation, and before that, we were in our senior year of college. We were in Denison. We were at Granville, Ohio, taking classes, and we're like, the Chinese are complaining about some coronavirus.
Some dude ate a bat in Wuhan.
That's pretty neat.
That's pretty crazy. Ozzy Osbourne did that once.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Now here we are. 4 years later, it's still fucking 2020.
Yeah, man. For real, dude. For real. What the hell? Wow. That was a thought. That was a thought bubble.
Yeah. So many worlds this year.
So many worlds. So much more to talk about. We're going to do more podcasts over 2020. We might go into more Kanye if we have more thoughts. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But right now, I want to go into this is our Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Really, I think this is going to come out on Halloween.
I'm going to make that happen. I'm definitely going to make that happen.
And so happy Halloween, everybody. Halloween's a little fucking weird this year. It's kind of canceled.
Yeah.
I keep spitting on that. But are you going to dress up with anybody just by yourself?
I haven't thought about that.
I might go as a sexy lumberjack.
I don't know.
One of my friends in high school.
Is that your garb? What is flannel? No shirt?
I stole that from one of my friends. One of my friends in high school, there was like a costume thing. I went as Han Solo one year. So I went to school as Han Solo, and my buddy shows up and he has no shirt on and he has suspenders and
Yeah.
jeans.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "What are you?" He's like, "I'm a sexy lumberjack."
That's good.
And he went on stage, and we all had to say who we were.
Yeah.
And he
He said,
goes on stage,
that's awesome.
and he's like, "I'm a sexy lumberjack." The fact that like he didn't get in
Awesome.
trouble for that is pretty great.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I went to Halloween as a gorilla one year.
a gorilla, it's a pretty good
Yeah.
costume.
Yeah.
Did you ever go like fucking wild for Halloween?
When I was a kid,
Yeah,
I really liked costumes. As a kid, I didn't want to be anything. I just wanted to make my own costume. So I
yeah,
was always
totally,
this
yeah,
weird fucking demented hodgepodge.
yeah.
So
There's always that
I
kid.
would say me. I was that kid,
Yeah,
definitely. I was the weirdo.
yeah.
I liked
I don't.
Halloween as a kid.
Yeah, did you have any memorable costumes?
I had one costume where I wanted to be like Scooby Doo, and so I put on like a cape and a mask that was not a mask, and kind of was about it. And I would go around, and people would say, "Oh, you're a vampire." Well, I am Scooby Doo Batman. You stupid old lady. That's not what I am at all.
Stupid old lady.
Can't you obviously see with your old cataract eyes that I am Scooby Doo Batman?
What the fuck? Wait, how were you little? Do you have a Scooby Doo mascot or something?
I had some like bat-like mask that
Well, what was the
related.
Scooby Doo part though?
The Scooby Doo was all in my imagination. I was just like, you didn't have any like symbol of me. Everyone was just wrong with it. I'm Scooby Doo. They had no indication of it
And
whatsoever.
that's your fault.
Yeah, well, yes, but I believed it so thoroughly
I
that I
love
thought it would
that.
be obvious.
That's so funny. Scooby Doo Batman. And no indication that you didn't even have a Scooby Doo shirt on or anything like that.
Gee, I don't think so.
That's so holy fuck, man. No, I'm Batman if I existed in a Scooby Doo universe.
Yeah.
Damn.
I had a lot of weird things like that as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, the weirdest that I ever got was like, I don't love Halloween,
Yeah.
um, for some traumatic reasons, but,
You-
um, but one year, the best costume I went as Marty McFly one year, and
yeah, that's good.
that costume was like really good. Like I got
Yeah.
I made it all. Everything that it looked, I mean, real.
Yeah.
It looked like it was like everything that I had suspenders, I had the vest, I had the jean jacket, I had the plaid shirt that he wears under the jacket,
Nice.
and I had the
Nice.
right undershirt that he has on.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't have was the shoes because they're
Yeah.
these Cortezes, very famous Nike shoes. But they're the colorway like you just couldn't. I guess they don't make them anymore. Just white
Aw.
red ones. So I just wore like these Nikes that I had. Anyway, but one year I went as uh a chicken.
Like, did you have like,
I had a no, it was a mascot costume. I walked around in a chicken costume.
damn,
Yeah.
damn, that's
And
funny.
well, it's funny until you start to go trick or treating and you're walking around with giant chicken feet on
See, yeah,
for like
see,
a mile.
that's a strat with Halloween. You have to get the costume that looks sick, but is so
Practical.
easy to move around in,
Right.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
I wasn't the kind of kid who's all him and had like your parents like get a step stool and like hoist you up with a little mini crane, and then they equip you every time, and you go up a motorized like car. I wasn't like that. I was like, dude, strip me down to the bare minimum, and let's just get like impressions of
strip me down.
I gotta go, because the thing about Halloween is that you have to get enough candy so that you can go back, you can trade it with all those other scrubs.
Yeah, exactly.
You get your shit stuff out.
Yeah.
So that's what my favorite
That's
part
what
about
we did too, man. That's what we did too.
It's the economic trades.
What was the last time you trick-or-treated?
I
was a good 12. What was the last time I did it?
I don't remember the age I was, but I remember very vividly, because I had this friend that I would go trick-or-treating with, which for some reason, Ben Ragsdale, if you know this person, please contact me. I would love to talk to him again. But after this trick-or-treating, like his mom was kind of a weirdo. Like there was some kind of falling out between our family, and I haven't heard from this guy ever again. And that was the last time I trick-or-treated. So again, missing person Stale. I don't know where he is. He doesn't exist on Facebook.
I really hope that we get to reach this guy.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants to.
Just his long lost friend.
If he doesn't want to talk to me, don't bother him. But I'm so curious. But that was my last Halloween.
Yeah, the last. Yeah. Wait, no. I went as Bugs Bunny Spider-Man last year. Remember that?
Oh yeah, that's still your picture on my phone.
Yeah.
Every time you call me, I see Bugs Bunny Spider-Man.
What was the year before that? I don't think Jack Skellington. Jack
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that Halloween. Holy fuck, man.
I remember crawling under a couch that Halloween.
Yeah, we were so drunk. Holy crap. That's when we went to it was a college stories, but when we went to
college stories, which just ended 6 months ago.
I know. Well, we went to like some party, and then we went to the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
Holy crap, man! That was actually fascinating, because that was the first ever time I've seen the movie, and I was so drunk and dressed as Jack Skellington.
Yeah.
And like watching this crazy, Rocky Horror.
Yeah, and there was a shadow play on going.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was the whole deal.
Yeah, authentic
and,
experience.
A couple of our friends were like stripping on stage, and we're just like, what's going on, man? Like,
yeah,
it's so bizarre.
It is a good experience to see a shadow play.
It's really fun. It's really fun.
Yeah, I went. That was the second year I went, but that year I don't know what happened that night, but I was in like some kind of bad mood and I was really drunk. So it was just like a weird pit. I remember snapping friends, and I think this was like the first couple of years of college, and they texted me back like, "What have they done to you? I looked so horrible. What are they doing to you over there?" I don't remember why I was so upset though. I just remember.
You look horrible. You should have just been like, "Yo, it's college, bro.
It's college. It sucked me dry, bro. It sucked me dry."
Yeah, that was the only like real Halloween experience I had at college, I think.
Yeah. Advertised Halloween as being crazy at Denison, but I don't know if we were just shut-ins or what. But
no, I think we just didn't want to hang out with the people who really party.
Yeah.
Because,
the only time we went out was when we went to our Around the World festival. And I remember the mistake with that is that we both, I think
I was the most drunk I've ever been.
Because you kissed me?
That was definitely...
You kissed me twice that night. because we drank a whole bottle of vodka.
We're gonna put that on the podcast. On the cheek.
No,
Dude,
Tom.
I remember that because it was crazy because we had that 3-person room at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And just like I think like Anthony, my roommate, shout out to Anthony.
We love
He
you.
was we love you. And Marcos, they like
We love you.
invited we love you too. We invited people. I invited you guys, and
Yeah,
then
which is like
they
like four
invited
or
like a
five.
couple people, and it turned out to be like 30 people showed up.
Yeah.
And I think I was nervous or something, and I had this bottle of vodka. I had this memory. I remember when things just went boom. Like I browned out. I don't think I blacked out, but I was definitely
Yeah.
very close.
Yeah.
Um, I was. That's when Iridescence by Brockhampton came out. And I remember
Oh
we were
yeah.
listening to one of the songs, and I was dancing on a desk. There were like 30 people in my room with a bottle of just a fucking bottle of vodka. And I was just
Yeah.
like straight out of the bottle.
I
Like,
remember that.
like I love that because
And I was
looking back,
drunk enough to see that and say, "This isn't a problem. This
yeah,
is fine."
yeah, exactly. Totally fine. And I was so gone and so drunk that I don't even remember going to the actual thing. Like,
Do you remember any of that?
no, zero.
I remember my moment I always remember is that we were at a party and everyone else in our friend groups is way less lightweights than we are. They can
Yeah,
handle their liquor. Alex and
yeah,
I cannot. So
yeah,
everyone else was kind of coming down. It's like, let's go home. And Alex and I were like,
yeah.
let's dance, bitch.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were,
Oh, God.
and Alex,
Oh,
I just remember you, like everyone else was leaving, and you just like you grooved all the way back in to like the back of Sonny's room.
oh man.
I think I have a video of you like in the back, going like, "Hey, what's up?" with dancing around with like 3 random people.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's good times, man. Good times.
Yeah.
But holy fuck, man. I remember the only thing I remember about that night is I remember I walked. I remember I was so. I think I, I think I thought I said something or did something really stupid or something.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah. You
ran
crashed on
out.
the glass.
And I ran
Grass.
out. Yeah, I just collapsed on the grass and just laid down. And I remember this. I remember this. This random girl just came up to me, and I didn't even know who she was, and she just came to my knee and just was looking down and going, "Are you okay?" I was like, no idea who she was. Oh man.
Uh,
Um,
I remember that.
speaking of spooky parties, Halloween, teenager.
segue. Nightmare
Segue.
on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's the
Happy
movie.
Halloween. This
Yeah.
is the movie that I chose. Um, this is a horror movie. If you guys haven't heard of it, just stop. You know,
Just stop right
just
now.
stop listening to this.
Nightmare on Elm Street is far better than this podcast.
Yeah, this podcast. And this is a movie that we're gonna talk about and review and discuss and various things. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm still looking at a picture of Jesse. I can't even see his face.
Yeah. I look very similar to how that picture looks right
Yeah. Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Similar, not exactly.
Not exactly.
Close. Um so
I've
yeah,
always you're a huge fan of this movie,
huge
right?
fan. Huge fan.
Yeah.
Huge fan of this
I,
franchise. I have all
yeah.
7 of them right here.
And you go through, did you mention that you watch all of them as like a October tradition?
I used to.
Yeah.
I would definitely, maybe not all of them, but I would definitely watch a couple of them,
Yeah.
2 or 3 of them. I couldn't this year because I just don't have time anymore. But
Yeah.
it's Halloween. But um, yeah, man, I love this franchise. This is probably my favorite horror slasher franchise out of all of them.
Yeah.
Granted, I have not seen all of the Halloween movies. Um,
Oh, sure. Yeah, right.
so I can't like speak on that, but I've seen all the Friday the 13th movies at least once,
Yeah.
and the Chucky and Child's Play. Not Leprechaun, but let's be honest, it's definitely not going to be Leprechaun, except for Back to the Hood. Wow.
Yeah.
Um, well, what a movie.
Pure gold.
Um, what's up, ninjas? Um, so yeah, this is one of my favorite horror franchises, and I'm definitely gonna get into why, and definitely kind of what I love so much about this franchise and like what
Yeah.
makes it my favorite. But we're not talking about the whole franchise. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll
we're
get
just
into
talking
it a
about
bit.
is
Um,
this is the kind the one we're talking about is the first one, and my
yes,
impression is this is sort of like the cream of the crop. This is the like Alien is like all there's some cool moments in the rest of like the Alien franchise, but
yeah,
Alien is the best one. Is Nightmare on Elm Street the
100%.
first one?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Like all horror franchises, the first one is
Yeah.
always the best. Actually, except for Friday the 13th, weirdly. I think the first one's ass. And I think the second one's even more ass. And then I think the third one is like, okay. The fourth one is when it gets good.
Yeah. That's interesting. You know.
I just think the first one's just like, Jason's not even in the first one.
Right, right.
So, like, the iconic thing about Friday the 13th isn't even in the first movie.
Right, right. It's more of like the atmosphere, the iconic atmosphere, and then they add the
And
monster
then the
later.
twist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Anyway. But yeah, for me, this movie is like the cream of the crop of slasher movies.
yeah,
For me, I love Halloween, but this movie, for me, I enjoy a little bit more than Halloween. I don't know if
hmm
that's
hmm.
controversial or people are gonna burn me
I
at the
feel like
stake,
this is.
but
I feel like this is it's a debate that I feel like has been going on for 30,
oh
40
yeah,
years.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
So in a way, it's controversial, and it's also so controversial that it's not even
yeah,
controversial
yeah,
anymore.
exactly. So this movie came out in 1984, and so the first
Wow,
time, yeah,
few
well,
years before I was born.
a good 10 years, good 13 years. And the first thing I want to mention about this movie, the first interesting historical tidbit about this movie, I think,
Hmm.
is that this movie is directed by Wes Craven, who is one of the most iconic horror filmmakers of all time.
And
He
creative.
and creative, and he also made another one of my favorite horror franchises, Scream. Um,
Mhm.
love the Scream franchise as well. And he directed all four of those, interestingly.
Oh, I
But
did not know that.
yeah, but Wes Craven only directed Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, and then he directed New Nightmare, the seventh uh, Elm Street movie, which is definitely the best Elm Street sequel for sure,
Yeah,
because it's just very interesting and predates Scream and it's like meta-ness of
that's
it.
cool.
Do you know anything about New Nightmare?
No, I've just
Maybe
seen
I'll
it.
talk about it a little bit later, but
It's
it's
just the
cool.
Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm always like, hey, that's Nightmare on Elm Street on this popular streaming service. I should watch that. And it's
New
like, oh, it's a
Nightmare
new
is really
Nightmare.
cool. New Nightmare is really cool. New Nightmare was, Scream is this very like meta movie take on horror movies,
Yeah.
obviously. And New Nightmare was predate Scream, and it was a movie about Heather Langenkamp, who plays Nancy in this movie. She
Yeah.
plays herself in that film,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
she's being coerced into making another Elm Street movie, but Freddy turns out to be real. And so
Ah,
what happens is that Freddy Krueger starts infecting her kids' dreams, but it's in this world of the actors and the directors. Wes Craven is in the movie. Robert Englund is in the movie as a character,
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's definitely has flaws, but it's a really interesting meta take. It's one of the first meta movies that I can recall that I've seen that have come out.
Yeah.
It came out like '94, and I don't think like movies like that, like movies up until that point had this like meta quality to it like that. But anyway, but Wes Craven, what I wanted to say about Wes Craven in general is that before this movie came out, 1984, he was known for being a very controversial filmmaker.
Mm.
Because he made a film in 1972 called The Last House on the Left,
Mm.
which is a extremely, even to this day, um, dark and gross and horrifying horror movie.
Yeah.
It's a rape revenge movie, one of the first
Gotcha.
of its kind. Um, and then he also directed a very fucked up movie called The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
Um, so before what I wanted to say about that is interesting. Before this movie that is very obviously majorly successful and more mainstream, he was making very dark and grindhouse and
Yeah.
dark horror movies before this, and I think that added a lot to this movie in terms of its kills, its scares, and its atmosphere.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, so let's just like get into it. So,
Let's get into
Nightmare on
it.
Elm Street is about um, a killer named Freddy Krueger who can
Very cool.
infect people's dreams, only children's dreams, and he can kill them in their dreams.
Yeah. Which kills
And
them in real life.
yeah, it's close to the real life. And off the bat, that is one of why I like this movie more than like Halloween or Child's Play or any of the other slasher is that premise, man. That premise is so fucking good. It's
Yeah.
so fucking good. I mean, it's it's one of those things. There's a lot of these movies, some movies that come out where you just hear the premise and you're like, oh, that's gonna be great. You know, that's an awesome
Yeah.
premise.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Um, and this is one of them. It is a genius premise for a horror movie because dreams are something that no one really understands. No one really knows what they are, why they occur.
I love that.
And
I'm thinking about that scene where she's like, "What are dreams,
yeah,
anyways?"
yeah, right. But it's true. I mean, what are they?
Yeah.
It's a question that I ask myself all the time, and I love it. Fascinating
Yeah.
question. And what this movie does is that it takes something that you're super helpless and while you're dreaming, while you're sleeping, and taking that to the extent of what if you could die? If you die in your dreams, you die in real life.
Yeah.
And there's something true, like really horrifying about that because you're completely helpless, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and it just so happens that Freddy Krueger is also an extremely creepy, scary, and iconic looking
Yeah.
character.
And
Complete,
he also manages to take this concept, which is kind of heady, and not be that really pretentious with it, basically at
no,
all. Which
no,
you would think that someone like Wes Craven, I was very respectable to me
uh
because
huh,
he always is very humble about his weird ideas, it seems to me, where he
yeah,
has these very smart and complicated ideas, but it's just because he thinks they're like cool and because they work. It's not
yeah,
because he thinks like they're smart and they're like touting their own horn like Lars von Trier or something like that, who makes great movies,
yeah,
but he's pretentious, right?
very, yeah,
So I
yeah,
think that's also a really cool thing that he
totally,
can blend in making these smart concepts with a very accessible movie.
totally. And he, he's good at it throughout his whole career because this was obviously great, but Scream, I mean, is one of, I mean, think about this. I mean, he made one of the most iconic horror movies of all time in the 80s. And then he
Yeah,
made maybe the most iconic movie in the 90s, like horror movies in the
yeah,
90s. Um, I mean,
Are you talking about? You're talking about Scream?
Scream.
Was that
Yeah.
iconic? I didn't
Oh,
realize it was that iconic.
Scream?
Well, I guess I didn't. What I'm
Oh,
thinking about,
yeah.
I'm thinking about it as like most iconic horror film, but you're saying as a '90s horror
It was the
film,
90s, yeah, yeah.
which like
I mean,
that
it's
Scream
one
that
of them.
makes
I mean,
sense.
they did four. They're talking about a fifth one right now.
Yeah, Scream's huge. It's super
Scream is a
huge.
huge franchise. Um, and that is so impressive.
Yeah, it
These
is.
two original ideas that he came up. Well, he didn't come up with. He didn't write Scream, but he wrote this movie. But um, but yeah, I mean, it's very impressive that he was able to do that. But yeah, this movie uh follows Heather Langenkamp as Nancy and Johnny Depp. Is this his debut?
It is. Yes, it's his
That's awesome.
debut role. Yeah,
That's
it's really
awesome.
cool.
So yeah, this is Johnny Depp's debut role
Which I also
as
love
Glenn.
about this debut role is that it's not like fuck what's eating Gilbert Grape.
Yeah, DiCaprio. Yeah,
It's not like that kind of debut where it's just like,
yeah,
oh my god, this guy's an actor.
right,
It's like Johnny Depp, and he's just like he's a stupid horror kid, and then it's just like this guy turns into a superstar. So I wouldn't
right.
believe that. He's
Yeah,
like, I like him in the film, but
yeah. He's
it's
great.
like he's
Yeah,
irreplaceable with
right.
any other
Yeah, yeah,
like slasher film
yeah.
jock. He's
Yeah, I know.
totally
It's
not
interesting.
Johnny Depp.
I think what this movie didn't really propel him. What propelled him was when he did Accurate, when he did 21 Jump Street, which is that show that he was in,
Yeah,
that teen show that they turned into a hilarious movie.
yeah,
Um, Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. Um, but yeah, so this is his debut role. Basically, you know, this movie is about Freddy Krueger, who is infecting these kids' dreams, and they basically have to uh, kill him and try to figure out how to beat him, and the mystery behind him,
yeah,
and this town trying to uh, um, basically the parents trying to deal with their kids and figure this shit out. And
yeah,
this shit is incredibly fun
yeah,
and has some of my favorite horror. Like it was stunning watching it last night. Like I said, I definitely watch this movie probably every year at
yeah,
least, and it's stunning to me how all the kills in this movie, like to me, are so iconic. There are
yeah,
so many iconic moments in this movie that is it's crazy. It reminds me of like a Halloween where almost every kill with every scene with Michael Myers in it is so iconic and
yeah,
so well done. And it's not like and how things become iconic is that they work. You know,
yeah.
they work on like through so many decades and still to this day, like this movie, you know, a lot of this was made with practical effects and a lot of it looks really good. I mean, there's
Yeah.
still like really impressive. There's not a lot of things about this movie that are dated. Sure,
Yeah,
like
one of these things talking about the practical effects, a really good comparison is the bathtub like scene where
yes,
she gets
oh
pulled
yeah, oh
under.
yeah,
That
yeah,
looks just as good as the
totally.
underwater scene in Under the
Well,
Silver Lake.
how about the fucking the the um the Tina's death on the
Yeah,
ceiling
that's crazy.
looks
It looks
fantastic.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
still one of the scariest death scenes in a horror movie to me.
Yeah.
It is viscerally terrifying.
Yeah.
Um, because it just looks so real and so cool and so off-putting.
Yeah, that's the thing about like the special effects and gore in this movie don't seem to have aged in the same
No,
way as all other films. Like Halloween's clever because it doesn't need gore to
no,
get the horror.
no,
Friday
no,
the 13th is more gore oriented and
yeah,
you can tell it was made in the 70s.
yeah,
But this film is just straight 80s gore, but it still works in 2020, which is really cool. That's so cool.
And so how this movie also, like, what I love about it too is this movie, like, just not this movie's a tight 90 minutes. There's no
I like how quick it is.
And there's a lot that happens in that 90 minutes. The film is incredibly well paced, and it just gets right into it. There's no really kind of lollygagging, you know? And literally the opening scene is watching Freddy's dying, iconic dying glove being made. Which, is fucking awesome.
Which is kind of interesting. That's just kind of zooming in on that for a second. I thought that was strange how they did. Not that I disliked it, but I just noticed how they did that weird aspect ratio thing, where they had it go to the top, which I don't know if that quite has the effect that he wants it to. At the time, it was a little bit weird, but I like the idea of. I think the idea is trying to is that you're watching something not of that reality, that's not in the real world, that's in the Freddy dreamscape world. So the changing of the aspect ratio is sort of to separate that, but it's a little bit weird now.
It definitely feels very like it doesn't happen now.
But it's a stamp to this movie to say it's like, hey, this movie is kind of experimental. Heads up.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of my previous point is the movies that he was making before that, they're experimental in terms of horror, and what was possible in horror cinema at the time.
Yeah.
And so we see that, and we get, the introduction to, Tina and Nancy, and Glenn. And, like I said earlier, there's parts of this movie that are dated.
Yeah.
Looks definitely dated, but something that I love is they act like 80s stilted teenage performances.
Yeah, right.
But there's something about in this movie, like Friday the 13th has performances like this, but they're not nearly as enjoyable to watch. And I think that's because the actors in this movie are incredibly charismatic, and they all have great chemistry with one another. Like Johnny Depp and Heather Langenkamp have great chemistry. I mean,
that's a good point.
Really good friends.
Yeah, because they're genuine. These actors, although the script is literal ham. It's like the rawest ham that you have ever listened to in your life. But these actors are like real actors, and they're actually acting, so they don't feel like just some weirdo picked up on the street just because, or like some pretty woman because she's a pretty woman.
Yeah, right.
But it kind of makes me think that I wonder if if it was. I hate saying this. It's like it's bad because it was intentional, but with Scream, I wonder if like the hamminess of
better
it.
Acting.
Yeah,
but like incredible acting.
But like the meta-ness and the self-reflectiveness to like of the genre being like bad, and like it makes me think that maybe he purposely wrote it like that to be kind of, because even Freddy as a character is, he's
funny,
is still he's horrific, but it's sort of like this
he gets
absurdist thing.
Well, that's something about this movie that that is one of the things that I love about the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise and Freddy in general is that he's super funny. In the sequels, the bad sequels like Freddy's Dead and Nightmare 5, The Dream Warrior. No, not The Dream Warrior, The Dream Master. No, holy fuck. The fifth one's The Dream Child. Fuck that movie. Dream Child. That movie's really bad.
Yeah. Are they all in that Blu-ray collection?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's see if I got it right. Nightmare 4. Yeah, The Dream Child. Nightmare 5. 5 and 6. Those ones, Freddy became kind of corny. It became like... The horror of him is completely lost. In this movie, Yeah, he has some good one-liners in this that are funny and silly, but dude, but it comes off more like a psychopath that is basically like making these clicks to
Yeah.
like fuck with them, instead of like winking at the audience,
Sure,
kind
sure.
of that's what it kind of became. Um, but yeah, I mean, like so the first like real scene with Freddy in it, it is how it opens. We open with Tina
In the boiler
dreaming
room.
in the boiler room, which is can't really get more iconic than that.
Yeah.
And how Freddy is. Do we see him in that scene? I can't really remember.
I don't know if you see his face, but
No,
you
we just
definitely
see
you
his
see his
knives,
claws.
and you
Yeah.
hear the iconic scratching. She wakes up, and she has scratch marks um on her
Her
gown.
dress was torn, yeah.
Yeah, and like that's a great setup because it basically is telling you straight up like, okay, so what happens in dreams can creep into reality as well.
Yeah.
And the genius of this movie, to me, really, is how Wes Craven blends in dreams and reality, especially
Yeah.
with the ending, and how, like, the ending to this movie is completely fucking
Yeah.
whacked out weird to me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Um, and I love it for that.
He's really exceptional at making these complicated transitions very seamlessly and making it look easy. And I think in
Hmm.
like the way this opens is another great example. Usually what you see in horror movies is you see like the first victim who's not the main character get killed.
Yeah.
But not only does
Yeah.
he doesn't kill the first person, you
Yeah.
don't see her die, but you go into the movie thinking she's going to be the main character, and then
Hmm.
you immediately switch, and
Yeah.
it's not jarring. It's not
Yeah.
that hard.
No.
It really works, and you just sort of organically like she goes to class, and you're like, wait, where's she going? And you
Yeah.
follow this other girl. It's just like, why am I following her?
All right.
And it creates
No.
this. It's he's like in these, and also like what you're saying, how he sort of transitions in and out of these dreams, and with the ending, just sort of like a lesser director would just sort of throw that on there
Hmm.
to what would probably be not that good of a movie before that, hoping to say, hey, I surprised you, I'm smart. But it was
Yeah.
like it was an
Yeah.
add-on to everything else, that it was a
Yeah.
slam, and it was jarring, and it was
Yeah.
great, and it wasn't
Yeah.
manipulative.
Absolutely. And after that opening scene, we get into, uh, the group of friends, Nancy, Glenn, and Rod. Um,
He's
and
funny. He's the
Rod is
fruitcake
funny, man.
guy.
It's funny when the movie starts like, oh man, this guy is not a good actor. But weirdly, he gets really compelling. And
Yeah.
when he gets in, and I think because when he gets accused of Tina's death, I think his performance is just way better. Like the paranoia and the uh, just the fear when he's in prison, and
Yeah.
he just gets a lot better. It's kind of
Yeah,
awesome to me
it
how
is.
that performance is just way more compelling. And
Well, it is kind of an interesting thing where you have these characters who at the beginning of the movie are these 80s goofballs,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
once Freddy starts infecting them with paranoia,
hmm,
sleeplessness,
yeah, yeah,
then, which is
yeah.
like a
That's
wonderful theme in the movie, the
yeah,
sleeplessness,
yeah.
then they start transforming into these much more complicated characters,
Yeah,
which
and that's you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Is that I think what keeps this movie what makes this movie so compelling, yeah, is the paranoia, is the insomnia, is like all that stuff with like Nancy's character
yeah,
and how she's literally going kind of crazy, like as
yeah,
the movie kind of and as she's kind of staying awake, the movie kind of gets more it's harder to tell what's reality and what's not sometimes.
yeah.
For like the climax of the movie, and to me, it's just so genius.
Yeah,
It's something about this movie that's always drawn me back to it,
yeah,
and it's incredibly fun.
yeah,
Um, but let's talk about the first real scene where you see Freddy when I was a kid, when I saw this movie,
Yeah.
I that to me was I don't think it's the scariest scene I've ever seen in today. But at the time, when I was like 12 years old, 11 or 12, like that shit when Tina, so Ron and Tina like have sex, and which is a hilarious scene.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Where Glenn's just like, I can't remember what he says, but it's really funny. Um, and so they go to sleep, and she walks out on the alleyway, and just that atmosphere, man, is it's just palpable.
Yeah.
It is drenching in atmosphere. The fog, the the uh the trash can the lid rolling, the
Yeah.
shadow of Freddy's hat, and how he comes out with the long extended arms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
Yeah. You know, in that moment
so
too,
creepy, man.
in addition to just being the blocking of that being so intimidating and that awesome shot, that practical effect shot of the arms and just the whole setup in general, you also realize, for me, I realized how good photography was.
Yeah,
Being
dude.
still a primitive slasher film, but I was noticing I loved how the outside was, which to people who aren't film geeks like us, I see that a lot of times in films where you see people like outside shooting and it's like kind of blue. That's because their white balance is wrong,
Yeah,
and that's what
yeah.
light looks like blue. It looks
Right,
blue with your white light with that.
right.
But he's using more of that coloring, which I don't know if that was like a something done in like post or like an
Mm-hmm.
actual blue light, but it
Yeah,
looks like just like you're white balancing for tungsten and you get that
yeah,
nice
yeah.
blue,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get the tungsten glow of the house with those wonderful primary colors,
Yeah,
and then you got the crack in the
yes,
fence. So he's
yeah.
having it all used together where it's very, which I think goes into why this movie is so effective, is that Michael Myers is just a terrible killer, right? He's just
Mm-hmm.
a horrific killer who
Psycho.
has psycho
Psychopath.
who has control over his environment. What
Yeah,
makes Freddy scary is that he is the environment. So
yes.
like everything around it, it's not just Freddy him. You're not he is scary. He's a goddamn zombie with knives on his hands.
Right.
But it's also the fact that he is like everywhere in that environment.
Yeah,
It's all Freddy
and
around.
can control everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
key.
also what like added to that, yeah, and like added to that, um, he, that the cinematography also looks like a dream. Like
Yeah,
it
right,
looks
right, right.
very like surreal and off-putting to a viewer. It's like why is it blue? Outside. It can have this very like kind of disorienting feeling. Um,
Yeah.
and
But it's still
before,
not enough to be like inaccessibly
no,
experimental,
oh yeah,
you
no,
know?
no, 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 yeah, you're right. But his first line, dude, like I think like Tina says something about like help me God or something like that. And he goes,
Yeah.
this is God. And it's like, holy fuck, dude. It's so creepy, man.
Yeah.
Oh, like it gets under my skin, man. But it's so well that's kind of funny. Like it's darkly funny, but it's
Yeah.
so like and the way that he like that it's such an iconic shot, but the way like the long shot of like Tina running away and Freddy's like running like a fucking psychopath like after her.
Yeah.
Oh, so creepy, man, so scary.
Yeah.
But you lead into one of the most iconic death scenes ever in a horror movie that we kind of talked about earlier, where Rob wakes up and she's struggling under the sheets, and she literally is going up the walls and gets a gash in her chest and bleeding all over the walls, and literally getting like slaughtered on the ceiling. And then when she
Yeah.
dies, she just drops from the ceiling, and
Yeah.
it is wow. To this
Yeah.
day, it is still. It's like The Exorcist. It's like the
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
it's like the it reminds me of the
The head spinning
the
scene,
head spinning scene, that
the
whole
vomiting.
sequence,
Yeah.
vomiting, yeah, all that that
Yeah.
whole
Right.
sequence. It reminds me of that, where to this day it's still so viscerally terrifying, and
Yeah.
that's
Right.
just because it just works. It's just practical effects. Everything kind of the tension is built up so well, and the release of the tension is just so like, oh my god, like
Yeah.
it's dropping. And
Yeah.
just
Well, yeah, here's
oh
another the other thing that's really great about that is that uh I don't quite have the nostalgia for this film. So
mhm.
like the horror of it doesn't quite like get me as much. The horror of it
Yeah,
is a little bit dated to me.
yeah,
So it's not
oh yeah,
necessarily
absolutely, yeah,
scary. So
yeah,
like that scene of the pursuit of Freddy was not necessarily that tense to me,
yeah,
although I thought it was great. It wasn't
yeah.
that tense, but that scene sort of like jarred me, into
Hmm.
being like, this is not a cheesy horror movie,
Exactly,
it's
and I
not
think
just a cheesy horror
that was the
movie.
point of it. I think, and
Yeah.
I think that's kind of Wes Craven's genius in this movie, because I think he sets up the beginning of it, like you're right, it's like this kind of corny '80s kind of. Because at the time, this is like in '84. At the time, slasher movies were kind of they're coming out a lot, man. They're coming out a
Yeah,
lot.
right.
Like Halloween, Friday the 13th. I think three of them have already come out at this time. Um, and Sleepaway Camp, like there are a bunch of these kind of slasher
Yeah.
movies that have
Business was
already
booming.
coming out, like Bloody Valentine, Black Christmas. There's a
Yeah.
lot of good slasher movies. So this one kind of had to stand out in a way, and I think the
Yeah.
first setup feels like a typical slasher movie. It feels
Yeah.
kind of teenagers setting up, but that's the moment when it changes. It's the moment where you go, "Oh, this is different. This is a
Yeah.
different killer. This is a an invisible killer. This is somebody who doesn't exist in reality."
Yeah. Well, and it's also like similar. It's a similar beast, the original beast, to what we were talking about with It Follows, being very much a
Yeah,
slasher film, but having its own mold and its own rules that it's working
totally.
towards, and
Yeah,
not
that's a good
really,
point.
and not worrying about like everything. All these other slasher films that you named have kind of the same formula as Halloween, but this
Hmm.
does not have any resemblance to Halloween.
No,
It
no,
doesn't, but it's still in
no.
that same genre very comfortably.
Yeah.
It doesn't break out of that. I think that's a really cool thing
Yeah,
about
this
it
is just
genre.
one of the innovators of the slasher genre because, since really, I mean, like, since this movie, like '84, slasher movies were kind of done at this
Yeah.
time. Like, there
Yeah.
weren't really new slasher like films to come out after this. Like, this
Yeah.
was kind of the last like big franchise. Like maybe Leprechaun, but it's
Yeah.
not good. You know,
Yeah.
Leprechaun came out 91, 90 or something.
Yeah.
But this was the last true like great like slasher in the golden age.
Yeah.
The
Right.
golden
Right.
age of
Right.
slasher movies. And it kind of ended it in a way because it was like, okay, I don't know how much better we can get than this.
Yeah. I can't really follow it up.
Yeah, there's not a lot of ways that you can take this kind
It,
of genre
it kind of
anymore.
feels like sorry if this is if this is lost, this comparison, but it feels like a postmodernism, like in that era, like
Uh huh.
how like that deconstruction where you had modernism, which is the form, and then this is the postmodernism
Yeah.
to modernism where it just
Yeah.
is a deconstruction of that.
Yeah. Totally.
um
Trust me, I
it
know
doesn't
all about postmodernism.
literally land in the time period because we're in postmodernism right now, right?
Yeah. No,
So
it's
it's
not.
like
This is not the
it
postmodern
predates
period.
that,
Yeah.
but
No.
it's that kind of transition. It's that deconstruction like
Yeah. Totally.
aspect of it
Yeah.
that makes me think of it.
Scream is the true. That is a postmodern movie.
Right,
Scream
right,
is. Yeah. Scream is like major postmodern movie.
right, right.
But actually, I'm pretty sure, like, I read it when I was doing research about postmodernism. I'm pretty sure a book that I was reading had a whole chapter on Scream.
Oh,
Um,
that's interesting.
yeah, but yeah, so that first death scene, man, it really kicks the movie off, and it's like, whoa,
Yeah,
like, this
right.
dude is scary, and that was dark.
And the
And,
other cool thing about it, that death scene, is in addition to being an incredible death scene for technical, for fear, for all of the right reasons, it
mhm,
also sets up the story really wonderfully,
super well,
because
yeah,
the thing that's cool about this story is regardless of the with the goofy characters in it, this still has this really exciting, like, barrage of cause and
yeah,
effect sort of
yeah,
logic that guides it.
yeah,
This happens because of this. It's not just because dumb teenager goes outside to become death fodder for monster.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, this happens in this situation, you don't know who's going to die next, you
And
don't know what's going to happen
that's
next.
to me, like, why I love this franchise is that, like, like, more than Friday the 13th or something like that, where Friday the 13th is literally the same fucking movie every
Over and
fucking movie.
over. Yeah.
Every fucking movie. Like, they're the only ones that were different were like 6 and 7, where 7, they were like, let's just have the main girl have telekinesis. Uh, that was awesome. But, like, uh, that's what I love about this franchise is they actually kind of try to make, like, Green Warriors, especially the third one. It's genuinely a good movie. It has a really cool story to it. These films trying to expand on the lore, expand on the
Yeah.
Freddy lore,
Yeah.
expand on, while other horror franchises kind of did that to, while they didn't need to do that, like for like Michael Myers, for example, where, bro, I don't I don't I don't want to know. Like, I remember in Curse of Michael Myers, one of the sequels that I saw, they like explained that he's like a satanic child and he comes from like a cult. They're like, bro, what the fuck are we doing right now? Like, this adds nothing to the movie. But for me, this movie, except for Freddy's Dead, this franchise kept Freddy intact pretty well.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't until the remake when they ruined Freddy. Um,
Mm.
um, because in this movie they insinuate, well, kind of insinuated that he was a child murderer,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yeah, right.
in the remake, they do a horrible job where, like, all these fucking remakes, like the Halloween remake too, they're like, all right, let's show the scene of the killer getting created. It's like,
Yeah.
like, like, no. So in the remake, you literally, like, God, Nancy, Nancy's mom, like, explaining that they killed Freddy because of this, and we have
Yeah.
this, you see that scene in the remake. And
Uh,
what I hate about that is when you see it in this movie, it's creepy. You're like, what? Like, y'all killed this guy?
yeah, it's a huge twist.
What the fuck? Yeah, like, it's super dark and like, yeah, it's a twist. It's a reveal. It's shocking. You're like, oh my god, like, so, but when you saw it at the beginning of the movie, you almost lose the fear of Freddy because you're like, you know too much about him.
Yeah,
This movie
right.
did such a great job of kind of like peppering in throughout, like, who this guy is.
Right.
Um,
And you also want to keep it, like, the him you want to keep him separate from reality,
yeah,
because he's not a figure of reality, right? And the
exactly.
scary thing is that he has this mythos of at one point existing on this earth as a
Yeah,
horrible person.
yeah,
But it's like, and almost in this movie, it's like, you don't really necessarily think that the mom and the parents, I think the mom's name is Marge,
hmm,
that Marge is doing a horrible thing by killing and burning Freddy, but you have this insinuation that for some reason there's something even worse that went down than just like burning him. Like, they have to
exactly.
sacrifice something to
Yeah,
make it happen, which I think is it's a really powerful thing that seems to
yeah.
be insinuated through that. And I think you're right
Yeah,
by
and I think
lose that.
that's kind of shown in this fucking great moment at Rod's funeral.
Hmm.
When Nancy's like telling him like he had a hat and had the sweater, and her parents kind of look at each other like, "Fuck," like
Yeah.
they know
I
who
love
she's
that.
talking about, and it's
Yeah.
super subtle and fantastic, and it's that's just great directing right
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's just great.
That's an incredible thing about film, that we could see that and we know what that look meant. That's some of my
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
moments like that in
Yeah.
film,
Yeah.
where it's not some exposition dump like, "Oh my god, Freddy's back." It's like it's
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
look that you're
Yeah,
like,
man.
"Dude, I'm gripped and I want to know what they're
Yeah, man.
thinking."
Exactly. And so when that reveal comes, it's very rewarding. Um,
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
and yeah, what else do we want to talk about? I guess we can talk about kind of the Rod kind of subplot where, so what happens is that he gets accused of killing Tina, obviously.
Yeah.
Who else would it be?
Yeah.
To these people, and that's when we get the great moment when he when he when he takes Nancy and into the bushes to like talk to her, and he's like, "What does she even say?" Like she's like,
She gets mad at him for something. I can't remember what she says to him, but I love what he says. He's like, "What do you mind? Some kind of fucking fruitcake?" Fruitcake is a theme. I don't know. Like, is that some kind of
"Well,
like slang for something?
you don't know what a fruitcake is?
I know like the literal what literally a fruitcake is, but
Oh, you
does it
don't know
have?
what the slang means?
No, I've never heard that before.
It's
In
a
my
it's a
brain,
it's a gay person,
oh
a
shit, that
freak.
makes so much
Yeah,
more
it's a freak.
sense.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
a freak.
that is put yourself in my position. I
Yeah.
thought that he was just saying it like a fucking fruitcake, like for alliteration
No,
to
I'm
fuck.
laughing at that because I'm like, whoa, 1984, man.
Yeah.
Good time. Look at that. He also says faggot in this movie, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Pretty sure.
I don't remember, but
Yeah, Rod is, he's their talk show guy.
yeah.
That's his
Yeah.
character.
It's cool to call gay people stupid.
In 1984.
1984. Yeah.
What am I, a fruit? It's such a funny, like, way. Like, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like it's just a bad, like just a bad slang term. It doesn't even make sense. Anyway, but so I don't know why I also like this shot where he like runs away. It's like this telephoto lens, like him running on the street with his bare feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just kind of funny. And then they arrest
It
him.
is it is kind of like that moment does I don't know why either, but it kind of sticks in your
I think
mind a
just
little
the
bit.
way he's running is funny.
Yeah.
Goofy. He gets arrested and he goes to jail, and Nancy and their dad is kind of like, there's tension there because she's like, you know, he didn't do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
so there's great tension between her and her dad. And then we get the scene where this is when the moment starts when she's trying to stay awake. She's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go to sleep because last time she went to sleep, she saw Freddy, and so and then she goes to school. And this
Yeah,
is
that's a great
another
scene.
incredibly fucking iconic scene. I mean, there are multiple horror movies that I've seen that kind of take from this moment. Like, I've
Yeah.
seen a
I
lot of
yeah.
horror movies where they have the scene where it's kind of this surreal thing in a school.
Hereditary. Hereditary
Hereditary,
has that school
100%.
theme. That's kind of
Yeah,
like
I
this.
mean, they're yeah, that one's like, whoa.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
That's a brutal one.
But yeah, this is like this is another one of my favorite scenes. I mean, this is another like brilliant thing of the blending of reality and dreams
Yeah.
is how Wes Craven does it in a very creepy and bizarre way. We don't see a moment when Nancy like closes her eyes and falls asleep.
Yeah.
We just have this moment of the person who is doing his book recording or whatever starts like whispering and very like quiet.
Yeah, which
And then,
that was one of my favorite parts about
mm-hmm,
this scene was that transition
yeah,
where it switches from the mundane and uber boringness of this guy reading an excerpt of the Bible. And
uh-huh,
then this is something I love. I really want to read the Bible at some point because of just the wording in the Bible
yeah,
is crazy.
yeah, it's
The
really bizarre.
language of the Bible is so,
Yeah,
if you read the book of Revelation, which is kind
yeah,
of like a weird part of the Bible,
I've read
like
that.
that shit is insane.
I took that Bible class last
Yeah,
semester. Yeah,
it's
I've read that.
fascinating.
Yeah, it's really
But
good.
it was a great moment where you transition from the bored kids to her being in the dream, and all of them are completely rigid. And
Mm-hmm.
this, I wish I remember the exact excerpt he said, but it was something creepy from the Bible, and it
Yeah.
works so well. It
Oh
works
yeah.
so well.
And with that iconic moment, Tina in the body bag,
Yeah,
and that fucking, you know, get more iconic than this in the horror movie where the body bag's on the floor and it lifts and it gets dragged by seemingly
yeah, so
nothing
good.
with the blood kind of dripping on the, it's awful. Then you have a hall path and
Yeah,
then she turns into
yeah,
Freddy.
yeah.
Right, man. That whole scene is so excellent. And
And I love also sort of how he takes the liberty with dream logic of, you know, the trope with people is just like, well, if the girl just didn't, or the victim just didn't go in that door, then they would have been fine, you know. But
yeah,
he uses dream logic to say, like, why did Tina go outside? Why is like whoever this girl is, Heather, the Nancy, why is she going down this hallway when she sees Freddy go along this? It's like, well, because Freddy's in control, man, you
yeah,
know, and that's the
exactly,
scary
yeah.
thing of it.
Right,
It's like, and you know that when you're in this dream, you feel like that. You're seeing this
exactly, yeah.
experience and you feel like you're kind of in control, but really you're just on this track where you're just going down it and you don't know where it's going. And you can see things like, hey, I want to go that way, and it feels like you're going in water. So
Mm-hmm.
like that's some really cool shit that you see, again, these tropes that kind of had these semblance of sense thrown onto it because of the dream logic.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, really interesting. Um, and like after that, like that's when she like really starts going crazy, where she
Yeah.
basically like starts like eating pills and trying to like stay awake all the time, 24/7.
Yeah.
And uh, yeah, that's for me when the movie like really gets cool.
Yeah, that's like
Um,
the second act, like the whole
yeah,
second act.
and I wrote my notes too. I was like, man, Glenn's just a cool guy. He's such a great friend. You know,
Yeah.
he's like, are they dating in the movie? Or are
Yeah,
they just friends?
they're like soft dating, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And that's another thing I like about this movie is like one of the tropes of like horror movies is like sex. Not a
Yeah.
lot, almost non-existent in this movie.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
except
still
for the
important, but
yeah, for the Ron thing, but it's more played as like a joke. It's more
yeah.
played as like something
Yeah.
that's not like nearly as sexually explicit as the final.
Right. Well, it's not the exploitation kind of sex that Friday the 13th is.
Mm-hmm.
It's this
Yeah,
thematic thing that sexual people get punished and people who are
yeah,
not sexual survive, you
right,
know.
yeah,
That's the preserving, like, actually
mm-hmm.
meaningful
Yeah,
theme
exactly.
that's in a slasher film that he uses, but it's not the exploitation
Yeah,
aspect of
right,
it, I feel like.
exactly. And yeah, so Glenn is like, I'll do whatever, I'll do that. And
Yeah.
that's when, like, I also, one of the funniest moments, kind of corny moments, is when she's reading that book about how to,
Yeah, that's a
like,
weird
set
scene.
traps.
Yeah.
I love it. But it's
Just
cool. I
a
mean,
blip on the bridge.
it foreshadows the ending of it,
Yeah.
ending of the movie. But I was like, where do you get a book like that?
Yeah.
Just go down to the fucking library. Hey, do you have a book to give
I'm
me?
looking for booby traps.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like it's kind of like a booby trap or
Yeah.
something. You're like, dude, I don't think that's a booby trap book.
It's pretty
um,
funny. It's pretty damn
yeah,
funny.
um, and yeah, man, like. And then we get that scene where she's like, Glenn comes over and she's like, listen, I'm gonna go to sleep and you gotta watch me, and if I start freaking out, you gotta wake me up.
Yeah.
And that's an awesome, awesome, awesome real confrontation that she has with Freddy. Um, and like,
Is that the scene where you see like this shot was so cool where it was like the shot where it's his metal hand is in like a little bit out of focus and then it racks and then it
oh,
scuttles away like a
yeah,
spider
oh
during
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
scene.
yeah, oh yeah,
Great
yeah,
shot.
yeah,
Like
it's so excellent,
so good.
yeah, it's so good. Um, but before that too, we didn't talk about the bathtub scene, but before that, why, like when she falls asleep, like again when she's in the bathtub,
Yeah.
yeah, dude,
The pulling down.
I
Yeah.
mean, dude, the hand coming out of the water again.
Yeah.
Again, that is
Which is
like,
like which talking about like the deep sex themes, like that's a great way of depicting like sexual themes
yeah, it's
without
interesting.
being exploitive, you
Yeah, it's
know?
interesting. I don't know. Every time I watch that, I don't know if that was what he was intending. It might just be like,
Dude, no, well,
but it
it's like
looks,
it's
it definitely
symbolic, you know? It's
symbolic
like
for sure. Yeah, yeah,
it's like he I think he totally framed that to be sexually
yeah.
symbolic, but there's not like a meaning like, oh,
Mm-mm.
Freddy's like raping these people or shit like
No,
that. Like
no,
there's
no,
obviously
no. Yeah,
insinuations that he was probably a child molester,
yeah,
but the point of it is the sexual symbol of it, the
totally,
symbology of it,
exactly.
not
Yeah, yeah,
necessarily
yeah,
like saying like sex,
yeah,
literally.
yeah. Right. And yeah, I mean that scene is like,
It's so good.
it's incredible. It's
That
so fucking good, man.
that might be my favorite like kill scene. I don't know about
Yeah,
that or the spewing bed. If that which one of those I like better.
the
But
Glen Fountain.
yeah, the Glen fountain. I thought that was
That
awesome.
one's just so iconic. Oh, I hope so. Oh,
He can't hear
um,
me.
but yeah, I hear you. Um, but yeah, so like, and then that's when it kind of propels. It's like, all right, I'm gonna fucking build boom tracks. I'm gonna fucking get this guy.
Yeah,
And um, and so like that whole in the house when he's like running and they fight on the fucking on the bed and like Glenn wakes up and that whole
yeah,
thing and this movie is just so like efficient and fun. There
yeah,
like there's always something propelling the story. And there's always something going on, and there's always um like something creepy around the corner that is always there.
yeah,
And it's probably one of the reasons why this movie is so successful is that it was this short, really efficient slasher movie that didn't have no bullshit kind of attached to it.
yeah,
It was a very like streamlined, executed movie with this incredible premise that is just incredibly fun to watch.
yeah,
And the ending to me is so goddamn fun, where they literally it's super frightening too, though, because that's when we get Glenn's death. Where she basically is trying to get Glenn to make sure that he's involved in the plan that his parents get wind of it and can't basically fuck up the phone so he can't answer the phone anymore.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and with that, Freddy gets Glenn. He gets him.
yeah.
And whoa. I don't know how they shot that scene. It probably was pretty cool on set, you
I
know?
bet, dude. I would. That's what I was thinking. That's the thing. It's like, dude, I would love to have seen how this happened because
Yeah,
it's like
cool.
that. It's like the talk we had when we watched Casper, dude. They built that goddamn thing in Casper. They built that
Yeah,
haunted house. That's
yeah,
the same thing they did in this thing. There ain't
yeah.
no computers in that. They
They
built that.
built a
They did
giant
that.
fountain.
People watch that happen. That's
My,
so cool.
my favorite part of that moment is when his mom comes in.
Yeah,
Fuck. I can't
yeah,
imagine walking in here. your son is just a fountain of blood.
Spewing out
Wow.
of the bed. And I loved how like the blood, there's this, this theme of opposites, and how like the girl in the death goes to the ceiling and the blood pools at the floor, so it's like Freddy manipulates gravity even in those kinds of ways, or like the alternative, like the upside down in Stranger Things. It's that kind of idea that we're tapping into that kind of otherworldliness is also just very creepy. It's just so creepy.
Yeah, so scary. Yeah, man. So he basically,
and that boy has a lot of blood, man.
A lot
of blood.
A lot. There's a lot of blood in the human body, apparently.
Yeah.
I wonder, that'll be funny if I wish I had a anatomy person with me right now. Like,
Yeah.
is that accurate? If somebody exploded like that.
Yeah, pulverized.
Blood.
Pulverized.
Yeah, how much blood would
my immediate thought, my armchair scientist thought would be that that's an exaggeration.
I think so too. I think the Shining's more accurate.
Yeah, the hallway of blood.
Yeah.
hallway.
But yeah,
do you have a favorite scene of this movie?
I think the very ending, because to me, ever since I saw it, first I saw it, I was like, what the fuck? Like, the way this movie ends, so cool. So basically, Freddy and Nancy get in this awesome fight in the house where she sets up these awesome booby traps, like Home Alone before Home Alone, and she fucking does all these, she catches it on fire, who's like one of my favorite practical effects, Freddy on fire. Any stunt where a person's on fire, I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Pretty amazing. Because you're just like, man, who was that crazy fuck that was willing to do that?
Yeah.
But this is a weird thing, but I would like to do that once.
Yeah.
Because you could do it. It's like a suit, you get like gel.
You should look up Corridor Crew if you know their YouTube channel. Yeah. They do a video about that, and it's really interesting. Do it. They talk about how to do it, and they have one of their guys who's never done that shit before actually do it.
I would love to do
interesting.
It.
It's really interesting.
I would love to do it. Get that's like Baja Gate Album cover. Lead on fire.
You just got to get a professional to help you out first.
Dude, we got the internet. We don't need professionals.
What more do you need?
We're not professionals.
But the ending.
The ending. So they get this great fight, and Freddy gets a hold of his her log, and he's on top of her and doing God knows what, just fucking shaking her, and I don't really know what he's doing, but he's
monstrous. Yeah.
And so that's when the dad kind of comes in and realizes that he's real.
Yeah.
And this is the most surreal part of the movie, I think. This whole sequence. When Freddy sinks and the burned body of the mom sinks into the bed with this like blue glow, and they're kind of looking at it like, what the fuck? And so after that moment, Freddy comes back, and the coolest.
Yeah, that's so sick. So sick.
It is so creepy and dope, and Robert Englund too. Like, I mean,
yeah, good job, dude.
Fucking performance.
Good job.
He's incredible in this movie. It gets better, honestly, in the sequels. It just has more to do in the sequels, but
and he has more practice, probably.
Yeah, and so we basically have to beat him. He's like, "You're not real. You're nothing. I don't fear you at all. You're just like whatever. I don't care about you anymore."
Which I find is a little bit silly, but
sure, yeah, absolutely. And I think some people think that too. It reminds me of It. Ending of It.
Ending of It too.
And It. or it's the same fucking
Oh, dude,
ending.
that's so true.
Yeah, no, that's the it too, man. It
Uh,
the second
it
half of
just
it is
sucks
just not
dick.
good. Not
God,
good.
so bad.
Yeah. Um, and so Um, but so when he disintegrates, the door opens, and we're basically in this dream world.
Yeah.
And Long's line, they get in the car, it turns out to be a Freddy car, and it drives away. And the Long doesn't care, starts waiting. Freddy come for you. We only talk about the jingle. I caught it
Yeah,
as shit
yeah.
too. And we see the shot of the little girl's um,
Skipping
jump
rope.
roping that we saw in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And that ending to me is so crazily surreal because there's no real conclusion of what just what did we just see.
Yeah, which I
You
also
know,
like that this ending also saves like the cheesiness of how Freddy just dissipates from
the
her
only thing I
non-belief
don't
in
like
it.
about this ending is I don't think Freddy's hand coming out of the 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 window and grabbing Lars, that was like completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
They should have just
I
deleted
don't
that.
know. I don't know. I feel like it's a decision, right? Because you want
Yeah.
to like it's kind of more what that does is I think it solidifies like telling you what's happening because I think
Hmm.
people who aren't watching might just be confused like oh so the
Yeah.
mom's alive they
Right.
wouldn't get that something else going on so I think
Right.
that the arm coming in is
Sure.
maybe a little over the top, but I do think it's a necessary indication of saying like it's not over yet.
Sure.
And I think
Yeah.
most people would
Sure.
miss that.
Yeah.
Though the majority of people might miss that.
Sure.
Or a percentage of people. Maybe I'll be optimistic. A
That's
percentage
probably
of
why they
people would
did
miss
it.
that. Yeah. But I love that. And I love that it would I love that it doesn't feel unsatisfying, although
No,
it's so
it's a
unresolved.
great horror movie ending.
Because the story is resolved, she beats
Mm-hmm.
Freddy, but she doesn't really because we have this weird ending tagged onto it.
Right.
But it just makes it just so much more interesting. Did
Yeah.
they do something with that ending or did that sort of
No, that was one thing that's kind of disappointing. Is no Freddy, uh, Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is completely different protagonist, and it is. The one thing about that movie is a lot of homoerotic stuff going on
that's
in
what I've heard about it. I've
there
heard that
too.
it's like the gay
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm
Yeah.
Street.
'Cause I think the guy who made it was gay.
Oh, interesting.
I think so. Well, at the time, I don't think it was openly there, but um, 'cause
Secret
not really,
secret.
yeah, not really accepted
How
that much.
how how offensive is the term fruitcake? I shouldn't like just
I
put
don't think it's that. I don't think so.
secret fruitcake agenda.
Not like faggot or something like that.
Yeah,
But
something horrible. I've
yeah,
never heard that before. I find that's so
fruitcake.
interesting.
Yeah, well, it's not very. It's definitely something used in the 80s.
Died in the times.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's ask if you are a gay person listening to this. How
Yeah,
offensive is that?
message us at thick and butter look at my
Oh, you don't
butt.com.
have to. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't think. How do you rate offensiveness? I think they're all just offensive.
Yeah.
Um, all the slurs. But um, yeah, the sequels never really. So Nancy returns in three. In
Oh.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Green Warriors, but she's kind of brought in as somebody who knows how to beat Freddy and
Yeah.
knows how to maneuver the dreams, and she kind of teaches these other, Green Warriors in the psychiatric ward to beat Freddy. It's really cool, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
She's a resource.
yeah, she's a resource, but yeah, they never really make an assumption of what. I don't think at the time. Wes Craven was not long in this franchise until 10 years later. Um, so I don't think he had any intention that this was going to become a franchise or anything.
Yeah, that's just interesting.
I
Yeah.
think New Line, was like, well, this shit made money. And they churned these fucking movies out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, churned them out. Because the first one came out in like 84, and I feel like the
Yeah.
second one literally came out a year later, dude.
Wow, that's
Like I think they
crazy.
literally started shooting like immediately, like immediately.
I'm not.
Yeah, yeah, 1985,
That's so crazy.
and then Nightmare on Elm Street 3 came out 2 years later, and Dream Warriors, um, and then yeah, and then 4 came
I mean,
out like a year later.
they must have just started filming too, like
Yeah,
right
well, I think
as the
that's
box office
I,
information came in.
well, maybe. Two's pretty bad. So
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe.
and it's also very short. I remember it's like 80 minutes or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I think they kind of churned it out. Um, but but yeah, this movie's fucking cool as shit.
It is
So
cool. I like
awesome.
it. I like it even more after talking about it and sort of dissecting it a
Yeah,
little
man,
bit.
it's so fun. It's incredibly fun. It's just the birth of another iconic horror movie villain that is definitely one of the most interesting and fun ones, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and like and this franchise just has so much cool lore behind it and such a cool premise other than it's just a guy like a psycho guy killing people.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. It's just more. I like the supernatural slasher horror element of this movie a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just such a great movie to watch during Halloween. So,
Go
um,
watch it.
go watch it, baby. This
Yeah.
movie is definitely thick and butter approved.
Thick,
Thick
thick,
and
and
butter
butter
approved.
approved. Yeah,
Bars.
man.
Nailed it.
Bars.
Perfect.
Bars.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Um, so that ends our spooky month
Yeah.
of October.
Which is
Um,
sad.
which is sad, but that doesn't mean we can never review horror movies ever again. Um, so do you have a suggestion for next week?
I do. I do.
Borat subsequent movie film.
Yeah. That's it. You guessed, you read my mind. Somehow you knew. I don't know how you know me so well to pick that movie. No, not
Eric
Borat.
Andre.
The choice that I have chosen to you is I I'm on an animation kick because I watched Nausicaä, Valley of
Nice.
the Wind,
Great movie.
which I think is the perfect movie.
It's a great movie.
I think that might be the most perfect movie I have ever seen in my life, and it's one of those, you know, all these movies you see as a kid, that you watch and you love.
Mm-hmm.
That was the movie I watched over and over
Yeah.
again, and I thought for sure that I was just like, dude, it's not going to be as good, and it's better. It's
Yeah.
better than what it was as a kid. Hayao
Yeah.
Miyazaki is not a human. He is from
He's a,
another
yeah,
world,
he's a
and he
god.
is gifting us these beautiful
Yeah, he's
stories.
amazing. Yeah.
This is a tangent. I'm not choosing a Miyazaki film, but I am I am choosing an animated
Uh-huh.
film, and I wanted to watch Jinro and the Wolf Brigade.
Okay, I have no idea what that is.
I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon Prime. This is an alternative future where I think Nazis are in control and they have really cool, not Nazis. I don't know if they're
Is
Nazis.
this like an anime film?
Yes, this is an anime film, and it has the iconic thing is the suits that you'll see is the Wolf Brigade, which has like these hazmat suits, which you might probably have seen. You might recognize it when you look it up. I'm pretty sure it's still on Amazon and is accessible that way. If it's not, we might have to switch it up. But for now,
Right.
that's my pick.
Okay. What's it called again?
Jinro Wolf Brigade. I'll send you the
Okay.
title and stuff.
All right. Cool beans. Cool beans. Uh,
Alex,
What?
It's I just wanted to say I had a really good time doing Spooky Month with
Hey,
you.
I agree. I had a great time too. I wish I could see your face.
You can't see my face. Why do
I
you
can.
keep
I know.
lying?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. Um. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Happy Halloween. Um.
Tell your mom
And
and dad.
don't go trick or treating, please.
Don't stay inside with your mom and dad and listen to Thick and Butter. Listen to some spooky Thick and Butter with
Yes.
brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles.
Hopefully that by the time 2021 comes around, a new era, Thick and Butter, is gonna be upon us.
Bigger, better, stronger.
Bigger production movies will start coming out again.
Yeah. We'll have more amphibians as our audience.
Yes,
All
we'll
kinds
get more
of life.
guests.
More guests. Yeah, dude.
And yeah, so we love you. Happy spooky month. Happy Halloween. We love you. Bye bye.
Bye.